Good morning. Today is Monday, December 6th. It is 9:08 in the morning, and we are back for Anchor Your Week, Back to Basics. This is week number 9. And if you haven't been paying attention, we have 3 Mondays remaining in 2021. So if you haven't been paying attention to the Back to Basics series, go back and listen to those. This is going to catapult you to success for Q1, January, February, March, to get your business off and get it running and to be productive for 2022. So this morning we have an exciting topic that Brian Cohen is back on the Back to Basics for us. He is going to talk about how do you brand yourself? How do you make sure that you are creating your brand? What do you do? What don't you do? And some of the strategies and implementation that you can leave with today and start implementing that for your brand. As you know, you are a real estate agent, you are a realtor, you are an independent contractor. This is your business. So if it's your business, you need to brand your business and treat it like a business. It's no different than announcing a grand opening for a new restaurant or marketing yourself on social media. Everything that you do should be pointing back to your brand. And that is what Brian is going to cover with us today. So Brian, thank you for being here and take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Cody. Thanks everybody for being here. So I know this is like a hot issue, or not issue, hot question for a lot of agents and really like small business owners. And why? Because we know reputable, well-known brands like, I don't know, Coca-Cola, Tesla, Microsoft, and there's embedded messaging in most of their marketing. Like, for instance, it's a holiday season. If anybody is going to watch any sort of TV this year or for the rest of this year, we undoubtedly know that Publix is going to put on heartfelt tear-jerker commercials that are probably going to make even the biggest, strongest grown man cry just a little bit, because it talks about his grandma or his little kid or his mommy or whatever it is. So what's the point in me saying that? Is because there's an association there with like family and Publix, and that is kind of one of the big things about branding. But if we're talking about branding, we really are talking about marketing. So let's take a step back before just stamping a logo on something and look at, hey, what leads you to that and why? So if you're talking about marketing, what you're really talking about is math. If you don't know your numbers as a salesperson, branding and marketing is throwing your money away, because marketing itself is complicated to quantify. If you are kind of just using like a head math, kind of like keeping like a, like a butt dyno kind of like feel on it, that you're like, oh, well, it feels like it's working, or it doesn't, you're not going to actually find what actually works. And you're also going to set yourself up for not only failure, but severe disappointment, because if it feels like it's working, you could pump more money into it and get no results. And then when that happens, you're going to be like, I spent all this money, it's not working. And then we know what we do is we get upset, we start blaming everybody, but we are the one that's in control of that. So not saying that it's your fault, you marketed, therefore your fault. No, marketing is an experiment. It does take risk, but when you do it wisely and you do it with a plan, you can figure out the marketing that works, the marketing that's worth it. And then, because marketing is math, we know exactly what we need to do to achieve the results that we want. Let's use an example. Who likes examples? I love examples. So let's be real. We are salespeople. Our number one only job is to create leads. That is it. You cannot do anything else in your process except it without a lead. Doesn't matter where the lead comes from, but the rest of the process hinges on that lead. The faster we can get that deep down and understand it, the faster we can be profitable and really set expectations that we can actually live up to, instead of like chasing shiny objects, grasping at straws and thinking, oh, why am I not being successful? So if you and when it comes to leads, you need to generate somewhere between 5 times and 20 times the amount of closings that you want in lead volume. Example, let's say you get 100, you have 100 leads. And out of those 100 leads, this is a perfect example for like Sync or Market Leader or everybody and their mom that's texting me. Well, let me turn this thing on focus. All right, perfect. So if you're on Market Leader or any of the online platforms, the average, this is a pretty average example. You get 100 leads. Let's say out of 100, you probably actually have conversations with like probably like 9 to 15 people. Of those 9 to 15, you probably can get 5 of them to be actual clients. That's a great rate. Maybe 4 out of 5, if you're doing well, 4 out of 5 will actually close within 12 months. So that means you have a 4% close rate. The math on that is you need to produce 500 leads. Let's like say you want to do 20 deals. 500 leads will get you 20 deals at a 5% close rate. All right, well, that's great. Yeah, wonderful. Well, those 500 leads, you have to work every single one of them until they either close or they're completely dead, or else you're throwing your number off. And then when we look at marketing, we're going to look at like the cost per lead. If you listen to somebody like Tom Ferry or Grant Cardone or somebody like that, they know exactly what a lead costs them. I was watching something from Tom Ferry. He knew that he made like 52,000 leads every single year. And that, I think it was like for every 5 leads, he gets 2 appointments. 2 appointments out of every 2, 50% of them would sign up for some sort of product. So he knew that how much he spent on that 52,000 leads, and that every single one of his leads cost him about $20. So when you are able to to do that math, you can say, here's what my return on investment for my marketing is. And then by figuring out, you have 1,000 different avenues. By figuring out like which ones work the best, you can say, hey, the ones that work the best and achieve my goal are the ones that I put more money in. And then it's just a matter of scaling to whatever your capacity is. So marketing, big tip, or big thing. There must be a call to action. A call to action often plays off of people's emotions or speaks to their emotions. It tells them what you want them to do. Do not say, call me, text me, email me, go to my website, go to this thing. Figure out what you want them to do. And very often people are going to probably not call. It could be go to the website. Okay, if that's what we're doing, what website are they going to? Is it a website that makes sense? And is it a website where they're going to go on and that website is also going to call them to action? Is it going to give them the information that they want? What's the information they want, you say? Well, your information that you want to give someone is based on your target and your value. So somebody told me this once, and I think it's incredibly important. If you don't have a target, you don't have an audience. So if you're looking for anybody, as in like anybody that wants to buy, sell, invest, rent, real estate, call me. You'll get nobody because it's not specific enough. Does that mean that you can't do buy, sell, and invest? Absolutely not. But find something that you really like. Think through the target that you're going after. If you really love working with investors, go after it. And people will get to know you as like an authority in real estate enough that you'll get like spin-off leads from, hey, investor friend, can you help my mom sell her house? Yes, I can. because I specialize in investors, but I'm not exclusively in investors. So specific targets, investors, buyers, sellers. Your specific target can be multiple different demographics as well. It could be an age of people, perhaps, like baby boomers who are downsizing from their family house to a condo. It can be location. It could be a specific neighborhood or a farm. Very, very important. I think that you should combine these and give yourself a little bit of a leverage on them, but figure out the one that's true to you. It can be a specific asset type, specifically like luxury or first-time home buyer or whatever it is. Or it can be, it can be any myriad of those things, but I think you get what I'm saying when saying like, you need to have a target, and your target needs to be specific enough that you can like start putting yourself in that target's shoes and speak their language, and then you can call them to action. If you're talking to an investor and you're like, or let's use first-time home buyers because it's an easy target. If you're talking to a first-time home buyer and you're saying, like, when you're ready to look, check out my list of newly listed properties on my website at www.chandlerholtzclaw.com. That's your call to action. It speaks to them. It says that you have something to offer. That's the number two thing, value. We aren't just selling relationships. We're not just monetizing our friendships. We have to have a piece of value that we're offering to somebody. So that piece of value can be, it is you, but it's not only you. It has to be like a manifestation of you. If you love like taking people through like a personal process and like shepherding them, create a value proposition that says, I'm going to be the person that's there with you every step of the way for a process that's incredibly complicated. Or it could be something like it can be a less tangible thing. Like some people will use this. I don't think it's a great one, but like 200 of your neighbors have trusted me with their real estate transactions. Who don't go with someone that's reliable. Check out call me or whatever it is, because that adds a bit of social proof. There's a couple things that people buy from. They buy from social proof. They buy from things that kind of there's an associative value. So knowing your target, which is your demographics or your location or your asset type or whatever it is, and then having that piece of value. The best place to start with piece of value, your top 5 strengths. If your top 5 strengths are honesty, character, think a little outside the box, because there's 1,700 other people that probably think that honesty, personality, and integrity are their top 3 strengths. And they might be, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't differentiate anybody from anybody. Like, that's kind of assumed. Like, let's be honest. So it takes a little bit of digging. This is something that I can totally help you with personally, or there's probably 100,000 YouTube videos out there for it, whatever floats your boat. But the point is, by having that message, we know what we need to say with our branding. We know who we need to talk to for our branding. And that is super important, because branding is making a statement. There's a recognition attached there. We know that, let's use Anchor as an example. We know that Anchor is a faith-based brokerage that desires to serve people as if they're serving unto the Lord, anchored in faith. That we're connected and we value families and our local relationships. We value our community. So by creating messaging that reinforces those things very clearly, we may be 500 other things, but that's what we want people to know. We want people to know Anchor is a real estate company unto the Lord that's connected with faith and family and community. People know that. And that's even a little complicated, just to be honest with you. Having those 3 things, they're great. But like, sometimes you just say anchored in faith. Sometimes it's more applicable to say anchored in family. When you're working with a nonprofit, Anchored in community is really speaks the language. So kind of, if you get where I'm going, having that association and that very clear message creates a brand. And when someone, and the power of the brand is, when I think Anchor, what do I associate? So for yourself, it's the same thing. When I think agent, what do I associate? So it could be a luxury house. It could be, I know Cindy's like super into like cats and stuff, or cat rescue. Is that what it is? Yeah, something like that. One way or the other. I mean, those are her people. So it's like that's who she speaks to. So when she puts up a post about her working at the Forsyth County shelter and playing with cats, and how if anybody comes and adopts a cat that day, she's going to give them $20 back on their closing, whatever, I don't know what it is, but that speaks to her people, and that makes an association of, hey, Cindy's that cat rescue lady. Well, I love cats too, and I need something in real estate. Boom. So maybe don't brand as like, cat rescue lady. You probably want to have something a little bit more tight than that. But I mean, I know she's like, that's her thing, and it's fantastic. So when it becomes the branding, it creates that association. So, and it also creates, you want to add to that branding that you're a leader in your space or your specialty. The thing is, it takes time. It takes consistency, and people can read through a fake brand all day long, because it takes you about 4 minutes to make up a brand and say that it's the best thing ever. And it takes like way longer to actually show people that it actually is what it is and what it is. And they want to see it and hear about it before they believe it. Because let's be honest, people get the wool pulled over their eyes all the time. There is no silver bullet, even if people want it. And we would be setting people up for failure by saying that we're the silver bullet when it comes to real estate. Like, let's be honest, that's not possible. We get lucky sometimes. That's about the best we can do. So when we start talking about branding personally, especially if you're new, but until you have kind of a recognition in the marketplace, your best bet is to hinge off the branding of your company and the people around you. So when I took a sales class for commercial real estate, when you're brand new to the game, nobody knows who you are. And to be honest with you, most people don't know who the agents are on the commercial side. It's like, and it's like JLL, CBRE, these big companies, like they're massive, like Fortune 500 companies. Like they don't really care as much about, that I work there as much as the association with them, because they know that I work there. I had to go through their vetting process. Like I've been taught all the right things. I uphold their standards. I have all their tools. So the thing is to say, like, let's say we're on a team with like 4 people and you're the brand new agent that doesn't know anything. So yes, you don't hide that you're new, but you use things like, my team has over 50 years of commercial real estate experience. Our company is a 10-person team that works collaboratively to execute on your real estate goals. Is that a lie? Absolutely not. But it also doesn't make you have to pigeonhole yourself and not even get a chance. Your point is to get that. So when you are branding something that is unproven, you're kind of just stamping a logo on something. The best approach you can take is to attach yourself to other people and to a company. For us, it'd be Anchor, and say, Anchor is a 35-person local real estate brokerage and then you go into our value proposition. Our value proposition, you fall as underneath it instead of having, and then you add your own to it. And once it becomes to where people know you, then you start introducing that brand. That's when your brand actually becomes powerful. Now you can brand straight out of the gate. Absolutely. If you want to, please, by all means, just know you will be fighting a double uphill battle, because you not only have to build yourself, but you're also trying to build a brand, and both of them are unproven. If you build yourself and then slap a brand on top, you've already got the association, and then it's just a little bit of like marketing education, for lack of better terms. All right. So that's not to dissuade you from branding. It can be super, super powerful, but it is not a magic bullet. So when we talk about marketing, we talk about branding, like we said, it's about repetition. This is the power of email. If anybody got any email over the last week and a half since Black Friday, everybody knows, I think I've mentioned this, like I get an email from Under Armour every single day, right? Every day. And 90% of the time, I don't even open it, but it reminds me that Under Armour exists. So when I go buy a new shirt like this one, I remember, I love that black shirt. Let's see if it's on sale because I'm ready for another one. They put it in front of me, and that is the power of marketing. But we got to put it in front of the right people and give them the right message. So if Under Armour just wants to tell me about how great their shirt is, that's fine. But even better, they tell me to go on their outlet website because my black shirt just went on sale. That right there, that'll get people clicking on something. So we are able to use the exact same thought process and approach with us, and with what we need, we can create those leads and we can actually close those leads. And the better your branding and marketing gets, the higher percentage goes. So if you get up to like a 40% close rate, then you can go, to close your 20 deals, you only have to create like 200 or 300 leads. I don't know what the math is, but if you get what I'm saying, or you keep creating your 500 leads and you close 40 deals that year and not 20. So let's see. That's the power in drip campaigns. That's the power in social media, is to remind people that you exist and create the association that sells the product that you have. That product is yourself, but it is your service. And if we're being honest, it's a commodity service. They can get it anywhere, including doing it themselves. Is it wise? No, but they can. So by putting ourselves in front of the right people, we're going to actually, did it die on? Okay. Sorry about that. And we're back. Episode 2. I'm just kidding. What was I saying? Oh, so by putting ourselves in front of the right people, we're actually going to make sales. If you are trying to sell a plumbing supply or like a plumbing service to die-hard do-it-yourselfers, you can throw millions of dollars at it and never get a return on it. It's entirely possible. But if you're throwing it at custom home builders or developers, somebody like that, who they don't know the difference between PVC and polybutylene all day long. Yes, I need a plumber, especially right now. I need a plumber. Does that make sense? So I just want to touch on a couple things, and when it comes to your branding and the way we get our brand out there. There's Facebook business page, there's Instagram, there's Clubhouse, there's doing your own personal website. If you have a target, figure out how you want to reach that target and how that target most closely responds. Also, it's kind of important to know how you can actually track your target, because if it's just like text me and you get 700 text messages, you're gonna get stuck in the lost in the weeds like super fast. Versus if it's through a website, you can say like, I did this post Monday at 5:00 and my website traffic went up 300% in 3 hours. But if I did it on Tuesday, it only went up 100%. So you can figure out like there's metrics everywhere to do this, but you can figure out where you're going to get your most exposure and the most market penetration possible. A lot of social media gurus say don't use a Facebook business page, because for a personal brand, they want it personally branded to you, and it should be part of your life and not an extension of your life. I don't think there's good traffic on Facebook business pages. And it can be just one extra thing if you have to manage and uphold. That being said, if you have a Google page people use daily, constantly, religiously. Same thing with like the platform pages like Zillow's and stuff like that. If there's one that you feel your people are more attached to, you having a presence on there and having like reviews and things that, you know, speak for you, super beneficial. So it's not to say that a Facebook business page doesn't work. It's just another thing that may or may not be necessary, because all things considered, a lot of businesses don't have Facebook business pages anymore. They were kind of like replaced by the Google, being able to like Google something in that initial like demographics, reviews, all that kind of stuff pop up. Google also replaced Yelp, if you remember Yelp, and other platforms like that. So just think your way through what you're doing. If it speaks to what you're doing, by all means. Doing your own website can be super powerful. You know, if you're driving people to your website and that's what your gift is, and you're creatively doing that, yeah, absolutely do it. But if you're not pushing people to your website, it's just another thing for you to do. So think your way through, hey, do I need this? Is there a way for me to like leverage, like kind of paint between lines and like have like a sub page off of Anchor or a sub page off the Sync website where people can kind of get channeled to something that has my metrics and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so your plan dictates your platform is really what the point is on that. Let's see what else is my notes. Just remember, a scattered approach will produce scattered results. So if you have a planned approach, even if it's wrong, you'll at least be able to identify if it's wrong and fix it. And that's the thing for us, is don't be afraid to risk, but don't risk unnecessarily. So the last thing I kind of want to touch on is just being honest with yourself where your current leads are coming. So if you ever have sat down with me for like a pre-productivity like introduction, I'm always going to ask you where your sales came from. I don't really care so much about what your volume is, but I want to know exactly where it came from, where all of your leads came from, how many total leads you approximately had, and the amount of closings you had off, because I want to know what that percentage is. If your percentage is like super high, but you're still not hitting your goals, you're just not creating enough leads. If your percentage is super low, even if you are hitting your goals, you are dumping opportunity down the drain. That's like a pivotal thing to understand, because if your process has holes in it, your marketing could have every effect that you want it to have. Your brand could, well, actually, your marketing had every effect that you want it to have, but the process lose all those leads or lose those opportunities. At the same time, we also know, if you've ever used a large company to do something and had a bad experience, you become kind of an anti-evangelist for them. So, and that is a huge scar on their brand. So if you're trying to build a brand, you have to build it the right way with positivity, and it has to be built on reliability. Really, if you're reliably inconsistent, people will just see that you're inconsistent. So by knowing that your value is tight and you're following that value every time, even if that means that your growth is like one transaction a year, you're going to be better off in the long run than to have a year where you had 20 transactions, but you messed up 5 of them. And those 5 people will tell people he or she has no clue what they're doing. Don't listen to anything that they say, any of their messaging, any of their marketing, because it's all just smoke and mirrors. And that's one of the most important things. So knowing, kind of being honest with yourself about your process. And I think a lot of people are in a lot of different places. But the good part is it's completely fixable. I mean, unless you have some sort of character flaw, but technically that's fixable as well. So, yeah. So as we look forward onto marketing and branding, you really have to have a solid foundation, a solid target, a solid understanding of what you're going for. And then you can go out and disseminate the information that you want people to have and let it create leads for you. So if you want to go through marketing, branding, sales tactics, whatever, we can totally help you with that. If you need to get connected with somebody that does marketing because you want to outsource your marketing, or you want some tips and tricks on how to create great marketing without having to spend 40 hours a week doing it, we can help you find some people to do that. Or, there's some leverage points that are out there that people may or may not know about. So if you'd like to discuss that, I know I'm available. Cody is normally available, considering that there's 30 people yanking at him every day. So you don't have to go to me, but if you want to, love to have you. And I think we can go to questions. That's about all I've got for the day.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, I've got, again, another page full of notes here. Marketing is an experiment. Man, if that's not hitting the head on the nail, that's what it is, right? Like it's, and I've used the illustration of gold panning multiple times, where there's gold in pans, and then there's gold that leaves the pan because you didn't do a good job sifting, or sometimes you just get a dud pan full of dirt. So it is an experiment. And the key is and you touched on this, Brian, not getting discouraged, right? Like, I can remember when I first started, I could 10 fingers of different things that I did until I found my niche, which is one of the things that you said. Number one must be a call to action. Find your niche. Once you identify your niche, that makes your marketing that much easier. And now you've got a specific set of target that you're aiming for. Social proof, associative value, incredible. And what we want people to know. That's what branding is. What do we want people to know about our business? And then we have to create association, and we've got to be a leader in your space and specialty. Put it in front of the right people, which is repetition. And this is my favorite, highlighted at the bottom. A scattered plan will produce scattered results. So if you have been listening to this and you want to set up an appointment with Brian, and maybe you're listening to this on YouTube or the podcast, reach out to Brian. I'll include his email in the podcast and on the YouTube description. Send him a message. I know he would be willing to help you grow your business, scale your business, and help you be better so you can help more people. But with that, we're going to sign off. We will see you next Monday for Anchor Your Week, Back to Basics. You guys have a blessed day.